Okay, so a little bit of a break today from the shouting and the rage. Yeah, that yesterday's Rage and Fails video, bloody hell, I've been working on that for so long. And I don't know why, it was quite a simple video to upload, and I know a lot of people have been really anticipating that, and I hope it didn't disappoint. It seemed that a lot of you liked it, so yeah, it was all worth it in the end. And I'll try and proceed to upload a few more of those, because I've got so many rage clips, it's insane, and I don't know why I don't just sit, make the time and put them together. So this today is a little bit more chilled out, a little bit more relaxed, and I was kind of just having to think about something today, and I thought, nah, I'll do a commentary on it, you know, step away from the Call of Duty commentaries and all that shit, you know, all the rage and everything, and let's just talk about influences, because I wanted to sort of, you know, this is all YouTube related, but I wanted to just tell you a little bit about me, give you a bit of a background history onto what made me, I suppose, the person I am now, and then, like I say, it'll relate to YouTube a little bit more in the process. Now, when I was young, I left primary school and we moved to, you know, my parents moved me into a school called Bourneville, which was my senior school. And, you know, I was kind of the person I still am now. I was a bit of a joker, a bit of a Jack the Lad. I was trying hard at school. I wanted to do well. And I went into that school with an open mind. I was a little bit scared and a bit nervous at first, but I soon found myself mixing with a good bunch of people, a good, nice, wholesome bunch of people, and eventually made some really good, solid friendships. Quite a lot of friendships, actually, and we had kind of this big gang. You know, I don't mean a gang around robbing and fucking, as we used to call it, taxing people. You're taxed. You know, we didn't do any of that stuff. It was just a good bunch of people, and we used to have a laugh and play sports, and I really enjoyed it. And I could just be myself. I could be the person I wanted to be, and it was cool. Now, my parents ended up getting into a bit of a conflict of, you know, decisions over what they wanted to sort of do in life with their work and stuff, and ended up nearly leaving each other. So they kind of snatched me out of school, moved back to the area we used to live, which was an area called Yardley Wood, and then they put me in a school called Wheelers Lane, which was an all-boys school. So I went from a mixed school where there was nice chicks walking around in short skirts. Yes, it was okay then. I know I was 12, but I was, yeah, you know, looking at 12-year-olds when you're 12 is fine. Obviously, it's not acceptable now. But yeah, it was, you know, you suddenly start discovering a few more things about yourself, and then you're snatched out of that environment and then thrown into an all-boys school. Now, I'd done about 2 years at Bourneville, and then moving into that environment was hard. And I've already done a commentary talking about how I got bullied, and I found it quite difficult to blend in. And I all of a sudden found myself needing to be accepted. So what I used to do was I sort of, I don't know, I suppose I turned bad, you know. That was where the journey from me turning from a decent, good, hard-working lad at school, you know, as far as school's concerned, into just turning on the bad side a little bit, being rude to teachers, not doing work, you know, like I said before, I started thieving and stuff like that. And a lot of it was to do with being accepted, but it didn't really work. And I suddenly realised that I was a little bit of a nerd, but I was happy being a nerd, you know, I liked being the nerdy kid. But it just wasn't rubbing off really well. So what I needed to do was change my persona to a certain degree. And, you know, at that time, I suppose, where you're hitting about 14, 15, and you start doing things like smoking weed around the back of the bike sheds and, you know, drinking beer and stuff, then I started to gain this reputation that I could actually hold my liquor and hold my weed, which kind of threw me up a couple of notches, but it still wasn't enough, because these guys saw me as a bit of a weirdo. So my influences came in the form of, like, I've got two older sisters who are both 10 years older than me, and they used to bring boyfriends home. And obviously these guys were like about, you know, 22, 23, 24 maybe. And, you know, I suppose I used to emulate them. I used to pick certain things that I thought were good about them, and I used to try and, I suppose, copycat them essentially. So if I remember back to one of my sister's boyfriends, a guy called Warren, he was cooler than school. You know, he ended up going to prison for armed robbery in the end when he tried to, I think he tried to rob Gatwick Airport or something ridiculous like that. But yeah, he was really cool, and the way he used to walk, he had a real swagger to him, and I used to copy the way he used to walk. And I know it sounds really bizarre, but I used to copy these little things out of him. And, you know, when they bring another boyfriend home and it was somebody different, I'd take these little bits and pieces from all these guys I'd met, because I suppose I wanted to evolve into something that people would go, wow, he's got the whole package. Now, I found myself doing that for years and years, and realistically I wasn't really being myself, and it took me a while to kind of discover the kind of person I was. And I guess that probably came when eventually I left that shithole of a school behind. I went to college and I wanted to do sort of illustrations for cartoons and stuff like that. Never quite worked out, but you know, I met this guy there called Richard, who was like a tough motherfucker. He ended up, you know, me and him are still friends now. He ended up going into the army, and he would have been in the SS, but he got shot, you know, but he was going to go for that, and I believe he would have done it. Now, our first encounter was me and him standing kind of toe-to-toe in an organised fight, and I shit a brick, you know. I was really scared, and I didn't back down. I stood up to him, and he kind of gave me respect from that, and it was an organised fight by this dickweed motherfucker who wanted to, you know, see me get my head kicked in because I liked his girlfriend or something stupid like that. But, you know, round Richard, I kind of lost those, I suppose, those influences I found from different people over the years, and I eventually started to be myself and started to come out of my shell and become the person I wanted to be, which isn't a bad bloke, you know. I suddenly found my sense of humour again. I didn't need to have that swagger walk that I learnt from Warren and, you know, such things like that. And eventually it just moulded me into the person I am now. Now, going back to the YouTube thing, that kind of relates to that a little bit, because when I wanted to start doing YouTube, I thought, how am I going to go about this? You know, who are my influences? Who do I like? And I've said before, I used to watch Sandy Ravage, so I thought, well, I want to, you know, kind of do his gameplays. I want to get gameplays close to his, or, you know, I wanted people to say, whoa, that was epic. How did you manage to win that game? That was unbelievable. Or, God, that quad feed. You know, real ridiculous gameplays that people can relate to and almost, maybe not relate to, but some people can look at and go, I wish I got these gameplays. So I wanted to take that little bit from that. And also in the commentary side of things, I used to watch Xbox Ahoy, and that kind of made me think, well, I like how he talks. You know, I like he's got that relaxed tone. He turns his gun reviews into a bit of humour and stuff like that. So I wanted to take that as well, because it's very similar to how I talk. Also, I was a massive fan of Lost in Place, so I wanted to inject that humour into things. You know, with his videos used to be generally quite good for the eye. They still are, actually, but they used to be quite good on the eye, and there used to be funny little captions that would pop up and all the trolling stuff. So I took a little bit of all of these things and I put them into making myself into, I suppose, what I became now. The only problem is that I went back, this is what kind of made me think about it. I found a really old video of mine, and I might put it up just for the crack, put it up for shits and giggles, which was on a community channel that me and some other people made. And this commentary was terrible. I suddenly realised how much I'd actually came into my own when I listened back to this god-awful commentary from me literally scripting stuff, you know. I actually sounded different as well. It's almost like I was trying too hard. I was putting the deeper voice on as if I was trying to copy Xbox Ahoy. And, you know, it just didn't sound right. And listening back to it now, I couldn't watch it all, you know. I had to turn it off. And I thought, how the hell did I become so popular? But I guess the great thing over time is that form of acceptance. This is the point I'm trying to get to. It's like I didn't need to try anymore. Whereas originally I used to try, used to cut so much stuff out and leave no gaps in my commentaries. So when I listened back to that commentary, you could tell it was scripted. It just didn't flow. And that's the great thing about being accepted. It's just you can lose that, you can drop the guise, you can take off the mask and start to do things a little bit more free. And it flows better, and it sounds a lot better. Well, as far as I'm concerned anyway. I certainly think I've improved a hell of a lot. So yeah, I just really wanted to sort of let you in on that little secret. That's made me the person I am now. So who's influenced you in your life? You know, whether it be in YouTube or whether it be in normal life, did you ever find that you wanted to kind of change your personality a little bit more to be accepted? Or maybe you got some influence from YouTube that you took from somebody else and that kind of kick-started your air quotes career? I don't know. Let me know in the comments section. I would be very happy to read it. Apocalypse done.